Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Now I will go forward with this the same line, more detailed into this variable pumping and why this parallel pumping is required and all, more into technical things. As rightly said by Mr. David, that we have different needs or different requirements of water at different times. Just to get into more details, just for the sake of example, if you take an residential building application, the x-axis plotted as in time, if you see the requirement of water is more into this morning sessions when we are going to get ready and go to the offices. Even in the afternoon, it will be a little one, and even in the night, there will be somewhat requirement. So this is the pattern of the demand at various levels. So this kind of application could not be given or could not be supported with a single pump, because single pump will run on its own way. So for these kind of variable flow applications, we need to have various ways to cater this variable flow. What could be these methods of this varying the flow? There are few methods I have listed over here, changing slip or poles that will change the speed of the pump, or throttling, or using bypass lines. But these all things will not support on an energy level, because the energy consumed by the pump will be the same in all kind of applications. So what, as rightly said by my colleagues, that we need to more cater on this energy. So what we can do, we can split the total requirement rather than going with a single pump, with a small 2 or 3 pumps or maybe 4 pumps. So which will support whenever there is a requirement of small or which can be catered by a small pump, then that individual pump can be on and the requirement will be sufficed with the level lesser energy. Moreover into that, we can go with a variable speed drive, and which will adjust the speed of the pump and which will exactly support what is the requirement. How this variable flow or parallel pumping can support this application, this is just a detail of that. If you see, the requirement is changing with this variable 3 pumps, and if we simply turn on as per the requirement, the power requirement is changing, and just for the sake of say 33% of requirement, we don't need to use a complete power of that system. More with this variable flow or variable speed, just with this affinity law, simply changing a small frequency or little speed of the pump, we can get a very high energy savings. So that can be used, and also optimizing rotation speed to match the actual demand reduces the energy consumption with a huge demand. So that can be done, and also variable speed drive is supporting the pump to increase its life by turning on and off with a very slow and steady start. So that will increase the pump life something around 30 to 40% of otherwise could have been. What could be the advantage of this flow rate variable systems? That energy savings with a low cost, on the basis of, if we consider with these kind of systems, we don't need to have overhead tanks, and which will reduce the structural cost of the building, and ultimately which will support on the basis of, if you compare the structural cost against the system cost, it will be very much cheaper if you compare on the cost basis. And it is this is a completely automated and very less human interface is there, so it will be a completely automated system, and it will also give and comfort for what we are having today's, like that various modern bathroom gadgets we are having. For that kind of application, we need a good pressure, so that can be supported with this variable speed pumping. Even we don't need to go for a complete building with a single pump or single system. We can have different configurations that few of them can be fed with different floors or different levels can be fed with different zones of the system. Can be used with the PRVs, or even if we have an overhead tank and we want to modify the existing system, or we want to have a better pressure levels at higher floors. So that can be also be done with this variable configurations. Just to go more on that, this variable pumping system or this hydropneumatic system is not only with this vertical inline pumps. This can also be available with the additional vertical multi-stage vertical horizontal pumps or end suction pumps, and even with the submersible pumps, which will definitely save a lot on the space, and the panel will be just which is outside this tank. So that can be a great space saving in the building segment. So continuing with that, thank you. Thanks a lot.